Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, and thank you for joining me for practice today. For those of you who are new here, I am Emily, I am your yoga teacher, and before we get started I want to remind you to, if you like this class, hit like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to get notified whenever I post something new here. And if you like my classes, if you like this one, and maybe you've taken some other classes with me, I want to encourage you to download the Yoga Lioness app. It's for iPhone and for Android. And in there are some free exclusive classes. And there is also my monthly membership. In that membership, you get a 20 to 30 minute yoga class every day. Once a week, you get a completely new class. And there are some meditations, some movement breakdowns, yoga nidras in there. And also you get access to the private Facebook group, which is a place where the participants cheer each other forward, they inspire each other, all helping each other out to create a consistent yoga practice and a healthy way of life. So if you like the sound of that, please hit the link here below and check it out. And now let's get started with today's class. And warm welcome to this week's Yoga Talk, Some Words from Emily. And this week I wanted to address a question that I often get, and I just got it recently the last week. And the question is how you should practice if you are aiming for a certain goal. That means that you could be aiming for a specific pose or a specific transition that is maybe slightly on the harder side. For example, it could be an inversion or an arm balance or a deep flexibility pose or some sort of an advanced transition, like for example stepping from a full side plank into Ekapada Kundinyasana 2, the flying split. Just an example. And I got the question if I suggested that you should do flows, or if you should stop doing flows and only focus on doing drills for that particular pose. And I had a very clear answer around that, and it is reflected in how I practice myself and how I have always practiced in order to reach the level of asana practice that I am at right now. And I suggest that you always do really nice but super strong flows that are very varied, not doing the exact same thing every day. Because, you know, when you do this exact same thing every day, you become very good at that exact same thing. And that is what I find is the best thing about Vinyasa Yoga, that there is an eternity of things that you can practice and it never gets boring. And there's always something that you can challenge. You can always get sore in your body because you're doing something slightly different. So my suggestion was to do very strong flows. Maybe do flows somewhere in between 20 and 40 minutes a day. That is how I practice myself. And after that, for me, that is playtime. That's when I practice drills and I practice specific poses. I practice transitions and things I just want to do. And that's my playtime. And sometimes I have a little bit of focus on the playtime. I can, for example, do a backbend playtime, because backbends requires quite a bit of, at least for me, warm up. So if I cannot just go for one deep backbend, I have to like step-by-step work up towards it. And or it can just be some handstand play. I do some things I do every day. I pretty much always do wheel pose. I always do a pike press handstand. Most of the times I also do kickovers and some backbends, because that is areas that I know I need to work. I know I need to keep working if I'm not gonna get worse on it, let's call it like that. So that is how I suggest you do. You go for some strong flows and then you go and practice, because then you have a good warm-up. And if the risk is, if you just keep doing drills for that specific thing, you might injure yourself. The risk is huge when you just like practice one thing over and over again. And one example that you often think about is that if you think about a football player, and if they want to get really, really good at football, they have to do more than just practice football. Nowadays, they even have football players doing yoga because it has turned out to be such a great way to get them to have more mobility, to make them more flexible, less prone to injuries, and so on. So any football player, you know, I remember like before they just practiced football, and then there was a team who all of a sudden one team started to do some other things, and all of a sudden that team just exceeded, became so good, and all the others had to reevaluate how they practiced and see that it didn't work just to practice that only thing you want to become good at. Yes, you became good, but you can become even better if you include some other things in your daily workout or training or whatever you call it. So that is my best tip for any of you who are aiming to find or go for a specific pose or a specific transition, or to just grow in your practice generally. Keep doing the short flows and the strong flows, and be mindful in them. If you're working towards something, take any chance to work on that in the flows. Do your own thing. Don't be afraid to like go outside the box and do some extra chaturangas or whatever it might be. Just go for it and find your own practice, and make it fun, and make it so much fun that you will stick to it day after day after day. So that is pretty much what I wanted to say in this week's little yoga talk. I hope you all have a beautiful week,